The city was loud and busy. People walked quickly, cars honked, and lights flashed everywhere. But in the middle of all this noise, a small boy named Sammy stood alone on the wet sidewalk. His clothes were old and dirty, his hands were shaking, and his heart was beating fast. Sammy looked up at a tall man coming out of a big glass building. The man was dressed in a clean, expensive suit. He walked with confidence, holding a phone in his hand. This man was Arman Malik, one of the richest men in the city. Sammy had never met someone like Arman before. But tonight, he had no choice. His sister, Amina, was very sick. She had been coughing for weeks, and the doctors said she needed special medicine that cost a lot of money. Sammy's family had no money at all. They lived in a small, broken house where cold winds came through the cracks. Sammy had tried many things to earn money. He sold flowers on the street, cleaned cars, and even begged sometimes. But it was never enough. Every night he went home, with empty pockets and a worried heart. Tonight the rain was falling hard. Sammy's clothes were wet, but he didn't care. He needed to try one last time. When he saw Arman leaving his office, he took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Sir," Sammy said quietly, his voice trembling. Please help me." Arman stopped and looked down at the boy. Sammy looked so small and fragile, with his wet hair and tired eyes. "Help you? What do you want, boy?" Arman asked, surprised. Sammy's eyes filled with tears. "My sister is very sick," he said. "We have no money for medicine. Please, I beg you. Can you help us?" Arman felt a strange feeling in his chest. He was used to people asking for money, but never like this. Sammy was not proud or angry. He was scared and hopeful. The rain kept falling and people around them kept walking, ignoring the scene. But Arman could not look away. "Where do you live?" Arman asked. Sammy told him the address, a small, poor part of the city, far from this shining glass building. Arman looked at Sammy for a long moment. Then he said, "Come to my office tomorrow. I will listen to your story." Sammy nodded quickly, his lips trembling. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." As Sammy walked away into the rainy night, Arman stayed still. He looked at his expensive watch and then back at the small boy disappearing into the crowd. His mind was full of questions. Why did Sammy's words touch him so deeply? He was a businessman, used to making hard decisions. But this boy's plea was different. Later that night, Arman sat alone in his dark office. The city lights glittered outside his window, but inside, he felt cold and empty. He thought about his own life, his success, his money, his power. But had he ever truly helped someone who needed it? Sammy's face appeared again and again in his mind. The boy's courage, the fear, the love for his sister. Arman picked up his phone and called his assistant. "Find out everything about this Sammy boy," he said quietly. The next morning, Sammy arrived at Arman's office. He was nervous, but hopeful. Arman met him with a serious but kind face. "Tell me everything," Arman said. Sammy spoke about Amina, how she loved to play outside, how she had gotten sick, and how their lives had changed. He told Arman about their small home, the cold nights, the hunger and the endless fear. Arman listened carefully. He saw the boy's tears and the strength behind them. When Sammy finished, Arman stood up. "I will help you," he said. "Tomorrow, we will visit a doctor. We will find the medicine your sister needs." Sammy's eyes shone with hope. "Thank you, sir. You don't know what this means to us." Arman smiled softly. "This is just the beginning." As Sammy left, Arman felt something inside him change. He realized that sometimes, a single moment, a single meeting could change many lives forever. And so began a journey that neither of them expected. A journey full of challenges, surprises, and the power of kindness. Because when a poor boy begs a millionaire, what happens next can shock everyone. The next morning, Sammy woke up early. The sky was still gray and the rain had stopped, but the streets were wet and slippery. He felt nervous and excited at the same time. Today, Arman would help his sister. This thought gave him hope he had never felt before. Sammy put on his only clean shirt. It was old but neat. He looked at his little sister, Amina, who was lying on a thin mattress in their small, cold room. Her breathing was weak and her eyes looked tired. Sammy held her small hand gently. "Don't worry, Amina," he whispered. "Today everything will be better. A rich man will help us." Amina opened her eyes slowly and smiled weakly. Sammy smiled back, but inside he prayed that everything would be true. After breakfast, Sammy went to the city center to meet Armin. The big glass building looked even taller in the daylight. Sammy's heart beat faster as he walked through the shining doors. The guards looked at him strangely, but let him pass when Armin arrived. Armin was waiting in the lobby. He looked more relaxed than the day before. His sharp eyes softened when he saw Sammy. "Come," Armin said, leading Sammy to a conference room. The room was huge and full of bright lights. Sammy had never seen anything like it before. "Tell me more about your sister's illness," Armin said, sitting down. Sammy told the whole story again. The long nights, the doctor's words, the medicine they could not afford. Armin listened quietly. He could see the pain in Sammy's eyes. This was not just a story, it was real life. After Sammy finished, Armin stood up. "I will arrange everything," he promised. "You and your sister will have the best care." Sammy felt a warm hope in his chest. "Thank you, sir," he said softly. Armin smiled. "This is just the start." Later that day, Armin called a hospital and spoke with the head doctor. He arranged for Sammy and Amina to be admitted immediately. Special medicine and care would be ready for Amina. When Sammy heard the news, tears came to his eyes. He ran home, quickly to tell his mother. "Mom, Armin Sahib will help us," Sammy said, hugging her tightly. His mother cried softly but smiled. "Thank God," she whispered. The next morning, a car arrived to take Sammy and Amina to the hospital. It was big and shiny, so different from the small, broken car they used before. At the hospital, doctors examined Amina carefully. They gave her medicine and promised to watch her every day. Sammy stayed by her side, holding her hand, praying for her health. Days passed slowly. Amina's breathing became stronger, and her eyes looked brighter. Sammy felt a happiness he had never known. Meanwhile, Armin watched the progress from his office. Something inside him had changed. Helping Sammy and Amina made him feel alive in a new way. One afternoon, Armin invited Sammy and his family to his home. It was a huge house with beautiful gardens and rooms full of light. Sammy was amazed. He had never seen so much beauty. But what surprised him more was Armin's kindness. "You are part of my family now," Armin said, smiling. Sammy looked at Armin, confused. "Why are you doing this for us?" Armin looked out the window for a moment, then said, "Because sometimes life gives us a chance to be better, and I want to take that chance." Sammy smiled. He knew that his life was changing, not just because of the money or the medicine, but because someone had believed in him and his family. But as the days went by, Sammy also learned that kindness could bring new challenges. Not everyone was happy with Armin's decision. Some people in the city whispered and watched closely. Sammy felt the weight of these eyes but held on to hope. Because when a poor boy and a rich man come together, they can change the world. But their journey would not be easy. The real test was still ahead. After a few weeks, Amina's health was much better. She could sit up, smile, and even play a little. Sammy felt happier than ever. Every day he thanked Armin for saving his sister's life. But outside their new world of care and comfort, shadows were growing. Not everyone liked what Armin was doing. In the city, rumors began to spread. Some people whispered that Armin was only helping Sammy to make himself look good. Others said it was a business trick, a way to get attention and money. Sammy heard some of these words from strangers when he walked outside. The hurt in those words was stronger than any cold wind. One day, Sammy went to the market with his mother. They were buying food when a man stopped Sammy. "You think money can fix everything?" the man said with a cold smile. "Be careful, boy. Not everyone who smiles wants to help." Sammy didn't answer. His heart was heavy. At the hospital, doctors told Sammy that Amina still needed to take her medicine for a long time. The journey to full health was not easy. Sammy wanted to believe that everything would be fine, but inside, doubts grew like dark clouds. Meanwhile, Arman was facing his own problems. His business partners were angry. They said he was wasting company money on a poor family. They warned him that this kindness could ruin his reputation. One evening, Arman sat alone in his office looking at the city lights. He felt the pressure from all sides, but he also felt something stronger, his promise to Sammy and Amina. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Sammy's mother. "Sir, I'm scared," she said. "People are talking badly about you. And Amina, she is not fully well yet." Arman's voice was calm but firm. "Don't worry, I will protect your family." Back in the small home, Sammy watched Amina sleep. Her small chest rose and fell slowly. He promised himself he would never let anyone hurt her. The next day, Sammy met Arman in his office. Sammy wanted to ask many questions but found it hard to speak. Arman smiled kindly. "It's okay to feel afraid," he said. "But courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward even when you are afraid." Sammy looked at Arman. For the first time, he saw the man not as a rich stranger, but as someone who cared deeply. Days passed, and Sammy began to understand the real world was not just about money or kindness. It was about trust, hope, and fighting for what is right. One evening, as Sammy walked home, he saw a group of men near his house. They looked angry and ready to cause trouble. Sammy's heart pounded. He ran inside and locked the door. Amina was safe, but Sammy knew the war was not over. The night was cold and dark when Sammy heard loud voices outside his small home. He looked out the window and saw a group of men standing near the door. Their faces were angry, and their eyes were full of hate. Sammy's heart beat fast. He knew these men were there because of Arman's help. Some people in the city did not want Sammy and his family to get better. They thought money should only stay with rich people. Helping the poor was a threat to them. Sammy quickly locked the doors and windows. Amina was sleeping on the thin mattress, and Sammy didn't want her to be scared. The men started shouting, trying to break the door. Sammy felt a wave of fear but also a strong determination. He could not let them destroy his family's new hope. Suddenly, the phone rang. It was Arman. "Sammy, are you safe?" Arman's voice was urgent. "Yes, sir, but some men are here. They want to hurt us," Sammy said, his voice shaking. "Stay inside." "I'm coming," Arman said. Within minutes, a car stopped outside the house. Arman came out with a few security guards. The angry men saw the guards and slowly moved away, disappearing into the night. Sammy felt a mix of relief and fear. He looked at Arman and said, "Why are people so angry?" Arman sighed. "Because kindness is rare, and sometimes people are afraid to see it." The next day, Sammy's mother called Arman. "We can't live in fear," she said. "What can we do?" Arman thought for a moment. "We will stand strong. I will help you find a safer place to live with people who want to support you." Arman arranged for Sammy's family to move into a small, secure apartment. It was not a palace, but it was warm, safe, and full of light. Sammy felt a new hope growing inside him. For the first time, he believed that life could change. At the hospital, Amina continued to get better. Her smile became brighter every day. Doctors said she was strong and brave. One afternoon, Sammy visited Arman's office. The city outside looked busy and noisy, but inside there was calm. "Sir, thank you for everything," Sammy said quietly. Arman smiled. "You are the one who showed me the real meaning of strength." Just then, Arman's phone rang. He answered, quickly and then looked serious. "We have a problem," he said. "Some of my business partners want to stop helping your family. They say it is bad for the company." Sammy felt worried. "What will you do?" Arman looked at Sammy with determination. "I will fight for you, for all the people who need help." Sammy realized that kindness was not just about giving money. It was about courage, standing up against fear, and believing in hope. Days passed, and Sammy's story spread in the city. More people started to believe in kindness. Some even came to help Sammy's family, but Sammy knew that the fight for hope was not over. There were still many challenges ahead. One night, Sammy looked at the stars and whispered, "We will not give up." Because when darkness tries to stop the light, courage must shine even brighter. The days after Sammy and his family moved into the new apartment were better. The walls were clean, and the rooms were warm. Amina smiled more, and Sammy's mother looked less tired. Hope was growing inside their hearts, but not all problems were visible. One morning, Sammy woke up to a strange feeling. The city was noisy, but there was something different in the air. He felt like someone was watching him. At the market, Sammy noticed people whispering when he passed by. Some looked at him with suspicion, others with fear. One man even stepped forward and warned, "Be careful, boy. Not everyone wants your family to succeed." Sammy's heart grew heavy. He knew the fight was far from over. Meanwhile, Armin was facing new challenges at work. His business partners had started secret meetings without him. They planned to take control of his company. They said helping Sammy's family was a mistake that would ruin their reputation. Armand felt alone, but he did not give up. He knew that. Some enemies were hidden, but he must stay strong. One evening, as Sammy and Armin were talking in the office, a message arrived. "It's about your family," the message said. "You are not safe. Leave the city." Sammy looked at Armand, fear in his eyes. "Who sent this?" Armand shook his head. "I don't know, but we must be careful." The next days were tense. Sammy watched every shadow, every face. He kept Amina close and never went out alone. One night there was a loud noise near their apartment. Someone tried to break the door. Sammy and his mother locked themselves in the bedroom, holding Amina tightly. Armin called immediately and said, "I'm sending help. Stay calm." Security guards arrived and scared away the attackers. But Sammy knew this was only the beginning. He realized that the real enemy was not only outside, but sometimes inside the people he trusted. Sammy looked at Amina and whispered, "We will fight. For you, for all of us." Armin promised to protect them and fight for justice. But the road ahead was dangerous and full of secrets. In the quiet moments, Sammy prayed for strength. He knew this story was bigger than just one family. It was about hope, courage, and the power of kindness against hate. And he was ready to face whatever came next. Days passed, but the pressure did not stop. Sammy and his family lived in fear. Every noise outside made their hearts jump. Every stranger felt like a threat. Armin worked harder than ever. He met with lawyers and security teams. He wanted to protect Sammy's family no matter what. But inside, Armin felt the weight of his fight. His business partners were more powerful than he thought. They wanted him to stop helping the poor family. They said it was bad for business. Afternoon, Armin received a letter. It was not just words, it was a warning. "Stop now or you will lose everything." Armin showed the letter to Sammy. Sammy's eyes grew wide. He felt the danger closer than ever. That night, Sammy sat beside Amina's bed. She was asleep, but her small hand held his tightly. Sammy whispered, "I will protect you no matter what." Suddenly, the power went out in the whole building. The dark silence was louder than any noise. Sammy's mother lit a candle. The small flame flickered and danced, but it gave some light. Outside, footsteps came closer to their door. Sammy's heart pounded. He held Amina and whispered, "Be brave." The door shook, but it did not open. Armand's security guards arrived just in time. They chased the attackers away, but Sammy knew the battle had reached its breaking point. The next day, Armin called a big meeting. His partners were there, angry and cold. "I will not stop helping Sammy's family," Armin said firmly. "Kindness is not weakness, it is strength." His partners laughed. "You will lose everything." Armand smiled, but inside he felt pain. This fight was not just about money, it was about who he wanted to be. Sammy watched from a distance. He felt grateful and worried at the same time. That night, Sammy looked at the stars. He thought about his journey. From a scared boy to a fighter, he whispered, "We are not alone. Hope is with us." Because sometimes the darkest moments come before the brightest light. The city was quiet that early morning. The cold wind blew softly through the empty streets. Sammy stood by the window of their new home, watching the first light of dawn. It had been a long journey, full of fear, pain, and courage. But now, something was changing. Armand's fight had reached everyone's ears. People started to see the truth behind the rumors. They saw how kindness could change lives. Sammy's family felt safer. Amina was healthy and full of life. Sammy's mother smiled without worry. But the battle had not been easy. Many had tried to stop them. Some still did. But Sammy and Armand had learned an important lesson. When you stand for what is right, you never stand alone. One day, a group of city leaders visited Armand's office. They wanted to talk about helping poor families like Sammy's. They wanted to make the city better for everyone. Armand invited Sammy and his family to join the meeting. Sammy felt nervous but proud. "Your story has touched many hearts," one leader said. "We want to work together to build hope." Sammy looked at Amina, who smiled brightly. He knew that their struggle had meaning. It was not just about them. It was about every person who needed a chance. That evening, Sammy and Armand stood outside the apartment. The sky was painted with orange and pink colors. The city was waking up. Armand put his hand on Sammy's shoulder. "This is only the beginning," he said. "Together, we can change the world." Sammy smiled. For the first time in a long time, he felt peace. He whispered, "Thank you for saving my family, for believing in us." Armand nodded. "And thank you, Sammy, for teaching me the true power of kindness." As the sun rose higher, a new day began, not just for Sammy and his family, but for everyone who believed that hope could win. Because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes.